What is up, Dynasty Leaguers? Welcome back into another DLF YouTube channel video. Today is Tuesday. We got another mock draft going for you, and we're continuing to do mock drafts based on actual leagues, actual draft picks from actual people down in the comments and viewers and stuff. So these have been a really fun series and a new kind of perspective on these mock drafts that I've been doing. So I'm super excited to continue to do this. This one is going to be a 12-team, one quarterback league, coming to us from Kilgi down in the comments. So I don't know if I pronounced that right, but thank you so much for giving us your roster and your draft picks so we can go through all this stuff. So a one quarterback league here, a 12-teamer. Let's get right into the video. So like I said in the introduction, this is a 12-team, one quarterback league coming to us from the comments down below from Kilgi. So Kilgi, thank you so much for offering up your roster and your draft picks. This one is pretty interesting because the starting roster requirements are a little bit different than normal, even though they are still a pretty good one quarterback league. So it is one quarterback, but you also start only one running back, two wide receivers, a tight end, and then two flex spots. So a little bit of different valuation there for the running back position. So his roster looks like this. At quarterback, he's got Kirk Cousins. At running back, he's got a dynamic duo of Ezekiel Elliott and Saquon Barkley, playing one of those in the flex every single week and still have one additional flex off of that. Wide receiver, he's got DJ Moore and Chris Carson as his two starting wide receivers. And then his flex after Saquon Barkley or Zeke is going to be an amalgam of Jalen Reagor, Corey Davis, Sterling Shepard, Emmanuel Sanders, James Washington. And then at tight end, he's got Austin Hooper and Rob Gronkowski. So pretty solid team. He said that he actually has won 2 out of the past 3 years. Injuries just kind of killed him last year. Obviously, he lost Saquon Barkley. Zeke wasn't doing all that good. So he had a rough year last year, but was at least a 2-time winner in 2018 and 2019 as well. So congratulations on the success there. So what we're going to be doing in this mock draft is trying to help continue that success and maybe add a little bit of some extra firepower for your roster in case of injuries and whatnot. So this is at least how his rookie draft looks. He's got at least from the 2 spot, the 102, 202, 302, 402, 502, and then also has the additional 110 first round pick. So this is going to be pretty cool to run through and just to be able to get going. So let's get it started here. We got the 1.02 in a one quarterback league. Najee Harris went at the 1.01. So really at the 101 is a decision between Najee Harris and Jamar Chase. Whoever is not taken at the 101, if you have the 102, in my opinion, is that other guy. It's kind of close. You could go the Kyle Pitts route, especially because you have Austin Hooper and Rob Gronkowski as your 2 starting tight ends. So Kyle Pitts is definitely in the conversation there for this 1.02 position, because you could be adding, like a league-breaking, game-changing type of a tight end, especially if Julio Jones is traded. Just the enormous amount of value that you have in owning Kyle Pitts, and then also the potential for him to be the second target on the Atlanta Falcons if Julio Jones or when Julio Jones is traded. And he might be traded by the time this video comes out, but at least right now he hasn't been traded yet. But the second option behind Calvin Ridley in that Atlanta Falcons offense with Matt Ryan, who's throwing 600 plus times a year, would be extremely valuable to have. So Kyle Pitts would definitely be in the conversation here at the 1.02, and you could definitely spin this, and I'm actually kind of talking myself into doing this. But Kyle Pitts, if you take Kyle Pitts at the 1.02, you already know that you're not getting Travis Etienne and Javonte Williams at your 110. So what you could do is you're probably looking at a wide receiver there. So you could go I'm getting Kyle Pitts here and then another wide receiver down at 110. So that means I can, more likely pass on Jamar Chase at 1.02 because I'm getting another wide receiver. Don't need to necessarily double up on wide receivers at the 110 and the 1.02. I've actually taught myself into doing that. So I'm going to go with Kyle Pitts here to add to the, your tight end room. Like I said, you got Austin Hooper and Rob Gronkowski. Gronk's probably gone after this year. Austin Hooper's fine. He's just a good, plug and play every single week. He's probably going to be somewhere between tight end 10 and tight end 15, more likely than not. But, you know, if you can add Kyle Pitts and the upside that he presents, but not only just that, but like the value that he adds to your team is exponential. It's amazing. And you could definitely even trade him before training camp, before the season even starts. You know, trade him for another great running back or a great wide receiver, or, you know, you could even pivot off of Kyle Pitts and go straight to Travis Kelce and George Kittle if you really wanted to. So, you know, that adding that trade chip type of value to your roster at the 1.02, I talked myself into it more and more as I'm talking about this. So I like that move there, grabbing Kyle Pitts at the 1.02. If for some reason, we'll just go contingency plan, Kyle Pitts is the 101 in this draft, I would take Najee Harris over Jamar Chase. That would just be me. So I would go Kyle Pitts, Najee Harris, Jamar Chase as my picks for that 1.02, depending on where the 1.01 goes. But I like Kyle Pitts at 102. So we're up again at the 110. The other two running backs, like I mentioned, Travis Etienne, Javonte Williams are gone. Chase, Bateman, Elijah Moore, and Devonta Smith are gone at the wide receiver position. And then Trevor Lawrence as the first quarterback off the board. And I would probably expect that he could potentially be gone before your 110 in your actual one quarterback drafts, just because of some of the values and stuff and how Trevor Lawrence is being seen in the industry right now. But we're up right now at the 110. And like I said, you're basically looking at a wide receiver here because I would, even if Trevor Lawrence didn't go and Jaylen Waddle went, you know, you still have a shot on one of the Moores if they both fall. In this case, Elijah Moore got taken and we got Rondale Moore here. You could take that shot. I like to go with Jaylen Waddle here. This is where I would like to go with this pick to present some high upside for your wide receiver group. You know, you're only starting 2 wide receivers and then you got those 2 flex. One of those flex spots is being taken up by, you know, your other running back because you're only starting Zeke or Barkley in your one running back spot. The other one's going in your flex. But if Jaylen Waddle could present a high upside, you know, like a variance type of wide receiver, like a Brandon Cooks or a Will Fuller or something like that, to put in your flex, he could, you know, potentially win you some weeks. And because of how the roster and stuff goes out, if he puts up, you know, not like a donut, but like a bad week, like a wide receiver 4 type of a week, then he's not necessarily going to kill you either. But just the upside that he presents and something that you could potentially be playing in that flex spot to really, you know, hit some maximum ceiling and stuff some weeks if you need that, can definitely give that to you. And I like grabbing Jaylen Waddle there over Rondale Moore as well, because I think Waddle could do that potentially in year 1, and I think has a higher ceiling down the future as well, with, you know, Will Fuller potentially being gone next year, Devontae Parker becoming a cap casualty and older and not the same type of player obviously as Jaylen Waddle. Rondale Moore is forever going to be behind DeAndre Hopkins, so he's never going to have, you know, 130 plus targets. So Jaylen Waddle could potentially see that at some point, maybe as early as 2022 or 2023. So I like Jaylen Waddle there over Rondale Moore. So then here we have the 2.02. This one is interesting because Trey Sermon, Terrace Marshall, Rondale Moore were the picks in between our 110 down to this 2.02. So Michael Carter is still there, and Michael Carter would probably be a really enticing pick. You could also go with one of the quarterbacks in Trey Lance or Justin Fields. I think both of them make sense here at the 2.02, just given the lack of starter depth, I guess, in this class. Because after that, you're starting to talk about like Kadarius Toney or Amon-Ra St. Brown, Kenneth Gainwell, and Chuba Hubbard at running back, Dimey Brown, Pat Freiermuth. It gets kind of gross pretty quick in one quarterback league. So these quarterbacks are being bumped up pretty hard into the second round. Given that your only other quarterback is, you know, Kirk Cousins, you could look to add, you know, another quarterback here. I think that definitely would make sense. I think you could also take the shot on Michael Carter kind of as a luxury 3rd round pick. And I would expect if you take Michael Carter here that you could actually probably get Zach Wilson in the 3rd round. We have the 3.02. You might be able to swing that and still, you know, getting a solid young rookie quarterback, maybe not with the same upside as Justin Fields or Trey Lance. But if Michael Carter becomes something in that New York Jets offense, which I do believe, I like Michael Carter a lot pre-draft. I like that he landed on the Jets as an ambiguous backfield, and I think that he could potentially be the starter almost immediately out the gate. I think he's much better than anybody else on that roster, and I know a lot of people disagree. They see that 4th round draft capital. I don't know. Like I like Michael Carter at the 2.02 here, and I think I'm actually going to swing for it here swing for the fences, see what you get with Michael Carter at the 2.02, and then get a quarterback coming back to you at the 3.02 and going through that route. And I'm passing up on all the other wide receivers because your wide receiver depth is already pretty solid, and we added to it with Jaylen Waddle at the 110. So I like that a lot. So let's see where we're at the 3.02. Unfortunately, the next 3 picks were all quarterbacks, so my ultimate plan of getting Zach Wilson at 302 didn't pan out here. Could end up being that it does pan out for you in your draft, depending on how your league mates draft the quarterbacks. But we still have the opportunity to draft Mac Jones here if we wanted to. Mac Jones potentially the starting quarterback for New England sooner rather than later, depending on, you know, Cam Newton and stuff like that. And Julio Jones is being rumored to being, you know, one of the favorite landing spots for Julio is the New England Patriots. So, you know, if that were to happen and Mac Jones starts, you know, seeing the field and seeing significant playing time, maybe halfway through the season or something like that, you know, we could be talking about a pretty solid starting quarterback, and especially for fantasy and stuff, just as a pure pocket passer, almost like getting Kirk Cousins and just cloning him with Julio Jones there. So I like that opportunity. Some other players you could go, Ramondre Stevenson, Amari Rodgers, Dwayne Eskridge, for some of these, you know, draft capital type of wide receivers. Again, basically my strategy once I get down into these 3rd and 4th rounds for all these rookie drafts has been not really going for some of these project or, you know, dart throw wide receivers, because I don't believe that they actually deserve that draft capital that they got, because I don't think that they're all that great prospects, and I'm fading them. But it also seems like a lot of the drafts and the rosters that I'm getting all have really good wide receiver depth, so you don't necessarily need those shots on wide receivers, because, like, when are you ever going to be playing those guys realistically? Like, I guess you could be playing Dwayne Eskridge somewhat realistically, you know, if DK Metcalf or Tyler Lockett get hurt. But, man, like, I just see them all as project wide receivers, and I'm all about fading these guys this late. So here at the 3.02, I'm going to take Mac Jones. I don't know if you have another quarterback as your backup or what the situation is, because I know sometimes, you know, dynasty leagues and in one quarterback and stuff, they kind of treat the waiver wire similarly to redraft, and you can kind of, you know, plug and play it as needed with some streaming options. So I don't know what you have behind Kirk Cousins, but I think if you don't have anything behind Kirk Cousins, I would definitely be looking at grabbing Mac Jones or Zach Wilson, or if you want to go off of Michael Carter and go for Trey Lance or Justin Fields there at the 202. I think leaving this draft with one of those 4 quarterbacks is definitely a smart strategy, and I would actually even consider Trevor Lawrence at the 110 if he falls there as well. So I like adding one of those 5 starting quarterbacks that we got in the first round in this draft, and leaving this draft with one of those guys. So here we are at the 4.02. Again, the name of the game for me is running backs at the end here. Just looking for guys that could potentially have some sort of an upside, and I'm going to take Elijah Mitchell. Easy enough for me. I feel like I take Elijah Mitchell in every single draft, so I'm sorry for people who consistently watch these videos, because I'm taking Elijah Mitchell all the time. I should probably just stop like analyzing him and just pick him and move on. If you see me draft Elijah Mitchell, you just know. But yeah, for the sake of talking about other people, Larry Roundtree I think offers some interesting upside as the Chargers' potential RB2, and kind of like that big body back across from Austin Eckler. I think he can easily beat out Joshua Kelly. I also think that he can beat out Justin Jackson. So Larry Roundtree and that shot there makes a lot of sense. Same with Khalil Herbert. I think Chris Evans makes sense as well, and offers some upside in the Cincinnati Bengals offense. Basically, all these guys that have draft capital, in my opinion. I would not be taking Javian Hawkins over these other guys, because these guys at least got draft capital. Javian Hawkins just is like a UDFA in an okay spot, and a pretty good spot, you know, if some things go the right way for him. But I would trust the draft capital a little bit more, even if it's 5th, 6th, 7th round draft capital, a little bit more than the undrafted guys here. Like, I would not be taking Javian Hawkins in the 3rd round. Jarrett Patterson makes sense because he was taken after all these guys, and I'm okay with that there. So here we are at the 5.02, just our final shot on a guy here. And we can kind of, you know, go any direction that you want here. You could go Davis Mills, because it's, you know, does Deshaun Watson play a snap at all this year? I don't know. You could go that route and see what you got. You could go for a dart throw project wide receiver, but I've been fading wide receivers as the entire draft, so I don't really think I want to change that up all too much. I think the guy that I would be picking here would be Tommy Tremble, just as another potential tight end, and a guy that could come up into this Carolina Panthers offense and be a significant target for Sam Darnold and maybe down the future whoever's next after that, and being more so as like the fourth target on that totem pole. And I know that's not fantastic, but if he could come into this offense and be a pretty solid tight end and a target for Sam Darnold and beyond, and being that fourth guy, I think offers at least some upside, and you could do a lot worse than Tommy Tremble in the tight end position in the tight end group and stuff. So I mean, basically that right there is your Rob Gronkowski dart throw shot replacement. Kyle Pitts is the guy that you want to take as your home run swing for getting a George Kittle, Darren Waller, Travis Kelce type, or like Jimmy Graham or even Rob Gronkowski from like a decade ago. Kyle Pitts is that guy. Tommy Tremble is just a dart throw. Maybe you have something in him, maybe you don't. Easy cut if you don't. So that's where I would go with the 5.02. So that's ultimately what we're going with. Kyle Pitts is the 102 as that home run swing, that value pick as well, because we also had the 110, and I figured at the 110 we could pass on Jamar Chase at the 103 because we're getting another solid wide receiver at the 110, which is actually what happened here in Jaylen Waddle. And I'd be happy taking any of the the other guys in the tier after Jamar Chase in Bateman, Moore, Devonta Smith, Jaylen Waddle, and Rondale Moore. I'd be happy with any of those guys if any of them fell to the 110 and I had to make a decision there. And then, of course, Rashad Bateman would be my number one pick if that's where we landed. But Jaylen Waddle, I think, at the 110 makes a lot of sense. Michael Carter at the 2.02, just as a running back, not so much a dart throw, but see what you got in Michael Carter. Like I said, I really, really liked him pre-draft. I like the New York Jets landing spot for him, and I think he is the best running back on that roster in that depth chart. You could go the quarterback route there, but we went the quarterback route and Mac Jones. Like I said, I think it's smart because I don't know what you have behind Kirk Cousins to leave this with one of those 5 first-round quarterbacks that we saw being taken. And like I said, I would even consider Trevor Lawrence at the 110 if Trevor Lawrence is there, even though I expect probably he's not even in a one quarterback league. But you could definitely go quarterback at 2.02 or see if one of those guys falls back to you at 3.02 like Mac Jones did here. Then 402 and 502 are your dart throw guys, or your guys that maybe you like some guys over some others, so take your shot. ADP kind of throws out the window at that point. You just take your player because you don't know if one of them is going to make it back to you. I took Elijah Mitchell and Tommy Tremble. So that is how this draft played out. So thank you so much, Kilgi, for this draft, for your roster and your draft picks and stuff, to be able to run through this. I like mixing up the Superflex and the one quarterback because the strategies are a little bit different. The players are in a little bit of a different order, and I like having that opportunity to talk about some different guys and different strategies and stuff. So thank you, Kilgi, for your roster, your league, the one quarterback league. I hope this helped you out. To everybody else out there, I hope you gained some stuff from this as well. Maybe you're in similar situations or have some things that could potentially work in your favor depending on how my personal strategy goes and how I attack these guys and these drafts. So with that all being said, guys, thank you all so much for watching, for tuning in. We will catch y'all later.